Speaking the truth to the state capitol. This is Drive Time Lincoln with the Commander, Jack Riggins, on the voice of Lincoln, 1499.3 KLIN.
Well, happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm Doug Fitzgerald, filling in for the Commander this week. Executive producer Johnny Cadillac by my side, taking care of things. We've got a shortened show today due to Husker baseball. They have a big in-state rival game against Creighton tonight. I get it's going to be a cold one, too. I mean, it's not going to be the most enjoyable game to play weather-wise or to watch. But the first pitch is going to be at 6, pregame at 5:30. So because of that, we're going to have half a show this afternoon. So, Johnny, I do have a question for you. What did you move today that was a little bit different that you didn't notice initially?
I would say the microphone, my microphone.
You dressed it up for Christmas there a little bit. So.
I mean, I wouldn't say I dressed it up.
Johnny's got a bow on his mic, so it's making him feel good. So, hey, the topic of abortion is back in the headlines here in Nebraska. Back in June of 2022, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and placing that decision back on the states to make the decision for abortion. Nebraska lawmakers are currently in session right now debating Nebraska's abortion law. LB 626 is called the Nebraska Heartbeat Act. It was initially written to prohibit most abortions in Nebraska once a heartbeat was detected by ultrasound, which typically happens around 6 weeks of pregnancy, with the exception of rape, incest, and the health of the mother. Now, I called Senator Julie Slama's office today just to get an update of kind of where things are. Senator Slama is also a co-sponsor of the bill, and one of her staff members told me right now that where the bill stands is they're amending it now to 12 weeks instead of 6 weeks, but everything at this point's on hold because there's a lot of filibuster stuff happening in the legislature. So what I thought I'd do is ask Pat McCarthy to come in. He's the executive director of the Pregnancy Center here in Lincoln, to give us their perspective on the bill and insight into the services that they provide that allow a woman to experience the opportunity not only to hear the heartbeat, but also to see the baby through an ultrasound as well. So, Pat, welcome back to Drive Time Lincoln. It's been about a year since you and your wife, Kim, were on.
Yeah, thanks, Doug, for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, this is good. And you're going to provide some great insight and information because I've got some questions as it relates to this bill. But first of all, before we start, does the Pregnancy Center work in any area of legislation?
We're not political at all, Doug. We don't lobby legislators. We don't endorse candidates. We don't arrange protests or anything like that. We're just purely a social outreach to the community. Mm-hmm. Any woman that needs some help, that's in a situation where she's in an unintended pregnancy, can come to us for free services, free parenting classes, whatever we offer, we give out freely. But it's purely a social outreach. We don't do any. Now, not to say that there isn't a place for those political things to happen. We need those to happen too. But the Pregnancy Center isn't involved in those. And
part of your services, and the reason why I wanted you to come in and as we talk about this bill, we kick off the show, you provide options for women who do have unintended pregnancies to actually hear and see their baby. What services do you provide?
Well, in the Pregnancy Center, we do free pregnancy tests for the girls who come in. We also take care of their needs in terms of if they need materials, if they need diapers or formula or clothing, car seats, strollers, things like that, whatever they need material-wise that would help them to become better parents. Also parenting classes. So we do free parenting classes for them. And birth basic classes. And so we really try to equip them if they choose to, carry their child to term. We try to equip them to be the best parents they can be. And so, it's not just a matter of them coming in and getting a pregnancy test. And if they're not pregnant, or, we want to talk to them too, if they're not pregnant, about the choices that they're making, because sometimes pregnancy is the least of their worries, because pregnancy is a survivable condition. You and I have kids. We have a wife who survived that. And so that's the survivable. But some of the lifestyles that they're into can really be dangerous health-wise to them. And so we really want to spend some time with them too. But it's not just a matter of, when you're done, if you have a positive test, great. We're glad you came in. Have a great life. We stick with them for a couple years to make sure that we support them in every way we can.
And you provide the ultrasounds as well, which give them, a picture of, what is happening inside with the new life that's forming. As we look at LB 626, right, called the Nebraska Heartbeat Act, I've got some questions about that, but where do you stand on that in regards to a bill in general? And then we'll talk about, because I want to know the difference between a heartbeat between 6 weeks and 12 weeks, and why they're debating this type of change or even adding it to the bill itself. So how do you feel in regards to the bill?
Well, I think the pregnancy center would ultimately like to see abortion not be unnecessary and unwanted here in Nebraska. We would like to see it just not be a state where they provide abortions, no matter what weeks it is. But obviously, we're at 20 weeks now or so. It's legal. If you take it back down to 6 weeks, that could stop about 85% of the abortions that happen in Nebraska. And so we would love to see at least that happen. And now we see that they're trying to change the bill a little bit to go to 12 weeks. And I think the rationale for that is that sometimes young women don't know they're even pregnant until they're 12 weeks. We have a lot of young women that come in that get ultrasounds at 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and 8 weeks, and we can detect the heartbeat. And so it's there, it's happening. In fact, it happens at 21 days. They don't always know they're pregnant, but it's there. And so the 12-week is, I'm not sure what they're trying to accomplish with that. I don't know if they're just trying to find some middle ground or what, but we really would like to see it go back to the 6 weeks. So it can be detected.
Right. So it can be detected at 6. Is there a big difference between 6 and 12? I mean, the life is forming, the heartbeat's pumping, right?
Right. Absolutely no difference.
So there's no difference as far as the development of the life. It's happening. It's just now they're looking at, well, maybe if a gal came in, maybe she didn't know she was pregnant for 3 months or so. Is that what?
Well, it's almost like they're making concessions to the bill before it even gets to the point where they can get it voted on.
Right.
And so that, to me, and it's not the opponents of the bill that are making the concessions. It seems like it's the ones who are co-sponsors.
Right.
Because there were 29 co-sponsors to this bill, and so it's discouraging, but at the same time, any ground, I guess, that we can gain, any amount of lives that we could save. Once again, if it stopped at 6 weeks, if we could get that heartbeat bill in there for 6 weeks, probably about 2,000 lives a year here.
Wow, just here in Nebraska.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. It's 5:16. We're talking with Pat McCarthy, the executive director of the Pregnancy Center here in Lincoln on Drive Time Lincoln at 1400 and 99.3 KLIN. Let's go back to when a woman comes in and they're pregnant and you actually provide an ultrasound for them. Does that change their mind? Like what happens during that time, especially if they're considering an abortion? What is your experience?
Well, it seems like when they come in, we would try to give them as much information as we can. And that ultrasound is probably the last bit of information. We offer to give them a free ultrasound, and we have a registered diagnostic ultrasound technician there on site and 2 machines. And so we want to give them all the information, and that includes being able to see what's actually happening to her, because you can explain these things all day,
right?
But you're working with a woman who's really early in her pregnancy, and not much is happening, not much has changed, in terms of how where she's at right now or how she's feeling. So this really puts a great perspective on it. And most of the time, when you give young women all the information, they'll make a good choice. They'll make the right choice, which is to carry their baby to term. I mean, that's what we give women all the information about their options, whether it's parenting or adoption. We even give them information about abortion because it is still a legal option in Nebraska. We never refer for or recommend abortion, but at the same time, we're not going to deny that it isn't an option for them. But when they see the picture, when they hear a heartbeat, it does make a huge difference. It puts reality to what they're doing. It's not just a graph. It's not just a chart. It's not just a picture of somebody else. It's actually them.
Right.
And so, it makes a huge difference. But and to some extent, our opponents would say that's a coercive technique, but no, it's not. It's actually giving them complete information about what's happening to you. Here's what's happening to you, and now you can make a more informed choice.
Right.
So it's about education.
Well, and I know, obviously, maybe the situation's different, but for us, when we were able to see the ultrasound for our kids, it was one of those really exciting days, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's one of those things where you post it, you share it, you put it on your refrigerator. You know, it's like the first, you're
portrait. Younger than me, Doug. You put it on your refrigerator. I have a VCR tape of mine. There you go.
Well, let me ask you this: do you often see the dads then come in too?
We do, and if the woman who comes in wants him to be a part of that, then we allow that to happen. Good. Absolutely. I mean, we spend some time with her first,
right? Because
we want to make sure she's, able to give us information without being hindered by, because we don't know what the relationships are with
right.
the couples that come in. But we're going to involve him, or if they have somebody else who's a support person, we're going to involve them, or if it's a parent, we're going to involve them, and so. All of them, and once again, it's up to the young woman whether or not they want them to be part of this ultrasound process, and we leave that up to them.
If a woman has had an abortion, do you have services to help in that area as far as maybe follow-up or
Doug,
counseling?
We used to have post-abortion groups for women who were experiencing that issue. I know a lot of the other organizations that provide abortions would say there's no such thing as post-abortion trauma, but we would see it. And it used to be that women would get into groups together, and we would hold groups and healing groups at the center for women who've gone through this. But lately, it's been more kind of online, one-on-one. I don't know if we're going away from those kind of group settings, but there's still help available out there to them. But it's usually, once again, it's a one-on-one. Online type of relationship with somebody.
Okay. Well, you have an event come up every year. You have a partnership event. This year it's in April. Tell us more about that. Why do you hold it? What happens there? And how can people get information about it?
Well, every year we, Kim is my wife. She's the center director. She's been there for 20 years with me in this.
She does a great job.
She's the reason this place is successful. It's surely not me. But each year we kind of get geared up for this April event, and since the Pregnancy Center doesn't take any government funding for anything, we rely on our partners here in town. We rely on churches and individuals, and there is some corporate sponsorship, but it really is all through donations. The Pregnancy Center is debt-free right now, and we own our facility just off O Street, and so, but we still need that ongoing support.
Sure.
To continue the services, because we have 15 staff members that are paid staff members at the Pregnancy Center. And so each year we have this event at the Embassy Suites. It's $50 a ticket. If you want to buy a table of 10, it's $500. It's easy math to do. But we've had in the past different types of speakers. We always bring in a national type speaker, and we're bringing in Dr. William Lyle this time. And he comes to us from, he's in Florida right now, Pensacola, Florida, but he's on the forefront of some of the reversals. He's on the forefront of talking to churches about how they can approach the whole abortion issue. Because once again, it's one of these things where people just don't know what to say.
Right.
When you bring this up, people shy away from it. They don't have the words to say to defend their position or to even discuss it. And so he's really great at that. And he also speaks to the faith end of it. And that's part of what we do. I mean, we're not under the auspices of any certain church or denomination, but at the same time, there's a faith component. Because we're all physical and mental and spiritual and psychological, but there's that spiritual end of things. Yep. And so he comes at it from that point of view, and he speaks to that. And I think that's a real important part of this whole debate that we have, between the pro-life and pro-abortion groups. And we like to land at pro-grace, and that's where our faith comes in. We're going to be graceful to these these women. And Dr. Lyle really speaks to that. And he's done so many things. I printed out his bio, but there's just so much stuff that the guy has done. He was the department chair at Sacred Heart Hospital, and he worked with the University of Florida, Florida State Medical Center, OBGYN residency programs. He's come up with a lot of great videos. They're non-graphic videos with close to 1 million views, and they just demonstrate and show abortion procedures to people, so people have a better understanding of what really goes into this. Because, it's just, right now it's just a word that's thrown around, but it's a lot more, there's a lot more to it. And so he really put some details to that, I think, that are important to the Christian community in particular.
So how can people get information and sign up for that?
They can go to pregnancycenterpartners.org. That's so long. I apologize for that. pregnancycenterpartners.org. Or they can call the Pregnancy Center at 402-483-4247. And they can order tickets through us over the phone. Or, like I said, the easier way is just to go to our website, and they can purchase tickets there. And it's Thursday, April 13th at the Embassy Suites downtown. It's a fun time. We're gonna have chicken again for dinner, but that's what we do in nonprofits. We have a really nice chicken dinner.
At least you didn't say spaghetti.
No, we have a really nice chicken dinner, and so it's all part of the evening. So, and then Dr. Lyle will stay afterwards, I think, and greet people and answer questions and things too. So it should be it's always an encouraging time.
Yeah, good event.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that. I know you're also in need of volunteers and, like I said, resource and finances. So check out the website again. One more time, the website that people can go to get more info.
pregnancycenterpartners.org.
All right.
And there's some videos on there that they can watch too of some of our client testimonies, which are really, really encouraging.
Information and awareness. That's the key. That's what we want.
Absolutely.
About anything.
And you're very helpful at helping us get this out, Doug. I appreciate it.
That's what you want. Absolutely. Well, Pat, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. It's 5:25. You're listening to Drive Time Lincoln on 1400 and 99.3 KLIN.
You're getting the 411 from DTL with Commander Jack Riggins on 1400 and 99.3 KLIN.
Well, thanks for joining us.